Greetings, and welcome back to the MCOC Encyclopedia. Today is day 2 of covering every champion in the game, and today we'll be going over the tech class. As a reminder, I'll be looking at a different class every day this week, so that we cover the entire tier list ready for December's champions. So let's dive in. As a quick reminder, we will be working our way down each column, starting at 10-10 and going down to 10-1, then 9-10, down to 9-1, and so on. The first champion that comes up on our list then is in 10-4, which is Vision Age of Ultron. He really needs that high sig, but once you can get that, his power control and his cycling ability is very, very powerful. As long as the champion isn't power burn immune, you are in for a good time, but the damage is really not quite there. If he had maybe double the damage, he would be significantly better. OG Vision in 10-2, they sell him every few months for a fat stack of units, and he just isn't worth it. He's annoying on defense at high sig for those huge bursts of power when he turtles up and just special threes you, not worth it on offense. Moving down to 10-1, we have Kang. With synergies, he's certainly better, but without them, he's outdated and just fairly bad. He doesn't really do much, so there isn't much I can say here. Moving up to 9-10 then, we have, in my opinion, the best tech champion in the game, and that is Ghost. She does require decent skill, and her sig is very nice to have, but she is an unbelievably powerful champion. Simply having the ability to say I am immune to every single damaging debuff just by swiping left would already make you a very, very powerful champion. Add on the fact that she gains a very large fury for every single one, and she's even more potent. Give her phasing as well, and she's just mental. Guaranteed crits and her own fury buff separate from the aforementioned ones, and you have a champion that can be used in so many situations to cover so many things with so much damage. Ghost is a very, very powerful champion, but I do know people will disagree with me on her placement. Down to 9-8, we have Shuri. She has very reliable damage over time with her shocks and critical shocks, and also has very reliable critical hits. She is extremely tanky and is easily a top 5 Necropolis option. She is showing her worth more and more, despite still being a relatively new or least less utilised champion. Guillotine 2099, down in 9-7, has amazing damage when ramped, giving her a surprising amount of versatility. She also comes with some excellent utility and double immunities, overall a very solid champion. Down in 9-5, we have Darkhawk, Shocker, and War Machine. Darkhawk has some surprisingly good damage once you get him going, but you really need to get to that special 3 first. He doesn't come with much other utility, but his double immunities for being a robot is very nice. Shocker has an extremely large heavy attack when you get him ramped, but doesn't come with much else. His prowess removal is fine, but he is really a champion that is designed kind of with battlegrounds in mind, of just drop the opponent in one heavy once you get him ramped. War Machine has some great damage potential, as well as being quite tanky with that armour and those regens from his awakened ability. His damage does take a little bit to ramp up, but once you've got 2 special 2s and the special 3, he hits really hard. His pre-fights are also excellent, whether applied to himself or other people. A potential promotion for War Machine to 9-6. Moving into the 8th column, we have Warlock at 8-8. Excellent fight control, one of the best regeneration counters in the game. His damage is pretty good as well once you get those armor breaks going. A really, really good champion. Down in 8-7, we have Guardian, Hulkbuster, and OG Ultron. Guardian has some very high burst damage, and it comes from large numbers, red damage, and shocks. Having 3 different forms for his damage is very nice. He does like his awakened ability, but that is mostly just for utility, giving him energy and bleed resistance and block proficiency. Overall, a very solid champion. Hulkbuster has a great damage as well, and his fight control can be surprisingly good. You throw your special 2 into their block when they're in the corner, drain all their power, and spam heavies for more shocks, more damage, and repeat. You do have to be a little bit careful though, as some champions can stand up intercept him very, very quickly. A few matchups he can't be used for. OG Ultron also has great damage, and effectively quadruple immunities when you take him all the way up to max sig, as he can really drop those shocks and incinerates down hard and regenerate from them. His ability to shut down mutants with degens rather than bleeds is also excellent. Down in 8-6 we have Mysterio, Nebula and Viv Vision. Mysterio hits really hard after his special 3 and he has some of the highest poison damage in the game. Really, really good. Nebula is the shock queen of MCOC with the ability to either apply a whole load of them on her special 2 or just reliably on her special 3. Really, really good and can shut down robot ability accuracy very, very quickly. Viv Vision has great burst damage once you get her going from her instant plasmas, though she does have a range. If the fight is still going, once she does her burst, she really struggles after that, but still a very solid champion. Down in 8-4, we have Psycho Man and Yondu. Psycho Man's damage is lacking without synergies, and even then it's not great, and his utility is also not particularly good. He's okay, but certainly not someone I'd be taking too far, a possible demotion to 8-3. Yondu has okay damage once you go for his special 2, and his bleeds can hit alright as well. His ability to steal armor ups is also very nice. Down in 8-2, we have Iron Patriot and Ultron from the Labyrinth of Legends, also known sometimes as Labtron. He is down in the bottom left corner because he is capped as a 5-star champion only. Iron Patriot is fairly bad and just outdated. He can have some okay damage with synergies, but again, not included here. Not much to say. And the same story pretty much for Labtron. He doesn't do much, so there isn't much to comment on, which means he can't do very much at all. Into column 7, down to 7-7, we have OG Iron Man and Stark Enhanced Spider-Man. OG Iron Man has some great damage and some great utility, a really nice buff to him. He can hit very hard once he gets those armor ups going. He is in line for a potential promotion, but I'm not 100% sure where yet, but we're certainly looking up or right. Stark Enhanced Spider-Man can hit very hard once you have that SIG going and those poise charges. Some great shock damage on his special 2 as well, and the safety net of his evade and power drain is really nice to rely on. Down in 7-6 we have Penny Parker, Punisher 2099, and Rocket Raccoon. Penny Parker has some great incinerates from her special 2, as well as the burst damage that goes with it, and her signature ability, though niche, is very helpful against high regeneration matchups, including Nick Fury's Second Life. Punisher 2099 has some surprisingly good damage, and his ability to control the opponent's power rate is extremely underrated. You hitting them and them not gaining much power really gives you a lot to work with in a fight. Rocket Raccoon has damage, and a lot of it. He is quite squishy, but his crit chance ramps up as the fight goes on, meaning his special 2 big damage is more likely to land. He also has ruptures and power control for an all-rounded champion. Down to 7-4, we have Vulture. His damage is fine, but nothing to write home about, but he does have surprisingly good utility, and some great immunities if you bring synergies. Moving over to 6-5, we have Captain America Sam Wilson, Lady Deathstrike, Silver Centurion, and Star-Lord. Captain America Sam Wilson has decent damage, his miss counter is very good, and those instant ruptures can hit quite hard. His safety net autoblock is also very nice. Lady Deathstrike has some amazing damage over time on her ruptures, and the way that her damage scales with her armor rating, not her attack value, is unique and has a few situations where it is surprisingly useful. She is also the top Wolverine Weapon X counter, which is something in itself. Silver Centurion has some good damage over time with his plasmas once he gets going, but that's about it. They are very good in their damage, but he needs a little bit more utility to help him going. Double immunity, however, is nice. Star-Lord is the OG ramp-up king, and he needs that signature ability. But once he has it, every hit on his combo meter will increase his attack value, and this can get ludicrously high, and even against some of the biggest health pools in the game, you will not see the maximum extent of his damage. Down to 6-2, we have Green Goblin and Red Skull. They are both relatively bad champions, they are outdated. Green Goblin in particular is unreliable, some of his abilities having as low as a 40% proc chance for something you really want to happen. I know Red Skull has got a buff in the wings, and it'll be interesting to see how that affects him. Omega Sentinel has excellent damage not only from her basic attacks, but also from her incinerates or plasmas that she places on the opponent and can keep ramping up throughout the entire fight. Once she gets going, she is an absolute menace. possible promotion to 6-7. Future Ant-Man and Howard the Duck are in at 5-6. Future Ant-Man has good burst damage and fight control once you get him going, and his signature ability provides some nice utility, but is not needed for his damage or rotation. I feel like he should be higher, but I'm not exactly sure where to place him, so if anyone is a Future Ant-Man expert, please do reach out. Howard the Duck has very good damage once he gets ramped, and also has, I think, the highest number of buffs of any tech champion. He's a little bit clunky to play with the screen mashing, and a lot of his damage does just come from hitting the opponent and occasionally using your special too. Iron Man Infinity War and Sentinel are in at 5-5. Iron Man Infinity War can be played in two ways, though the more efficient way is to play him below 15% health, which is extremely risky to do, and he needs his awakened ability for that. However, if you can pull it off, his ramp-up DOT damage is amazing, if you can keep it going. The Stealth Suit Spider-Man synergy does really help with this, but again, synergies aren't included. Sentinel has great damage once you get all his charges going, and the Incinerate from his special 2 can hit very hard. Double immunities round him out as a nice champion. Coming in at 4-9, we have Nimrod, the modern mutant slayer. Nimrod's shock damage is very, very, very good, and he can shut down a lot of mutant champions. He is very, very good, but he prefers those mutant matchups. Coming in at 4-6, we have Iron Man Infamous. With his rotation, you can get some very good critical power burn damage, and is extra effective against champions that build lots of prowess very quickly. Primarily OG Storm, but mostly Bishop, given he is also Incinerate immune whilst he has his armor. He is very, very good in these situations, but they don't come up as often, so 4-6. Coming in at 4-5, we have Dr. Octopus. His power control is very, very effective, and if there was a matchup where the power was just through the roof, 1000% power gain, he would perhaps be one of the top options, but he's a little clunky to play in my opinion, and his damage isn't the greatest. Finally, at 4-4, we have Civil Warrior. He gains armors and then turns those into Furies, but to maintain those Furies is quite annoying. His signature ability does provide okay utility, but not for damage or rotation. So, that has been your whistle-stop tour of what I think of the tech class. Coming up next, we have Cosmic, and then we'll follow the rest of the classes throughout the rest of the week. If you have any questions, please do leave them below, and I will endeavour to answer as many as I can. Thank you, and I will see you next time.